Hey guys, how are you doing? I just realized that my little image right there, you cannot see the crazy storm, but everybody knows about this crazy storm that was going on the East Coast. And for us, we lost our power at about 5:30 in the morning. And hey Joe, hey Fernanda, and we got it back about 11 o'clock. It was pretty crazy. It was negative 23 degrees outside. So I'm a little bit delayed today just because everything was sort of thrown for a loop with losing power for about 6 hours today. I wanted to also let you guys know that obviously the Modern Trader Summit is coming up. That is going to be here in Montreal, and tickets are on sale, about 25% off until February 1st. So if you're contemplating it, go ahead, book that seat, and then it's going to be going up from there. Amazing, amazing people coming, and it's going to be an amazing time as well. So definitely check that out. A little tidbit with trade ideas. You guys know, hey Fernanda, from Brazil. Hi Rav. And Trade Ideas is awesome. My go-to platform for finding stocks early in the morning, for gappers, for all the information. I absolutely love the software. And they are having a sale through Monday. MLK Day will give you 20% off, all caps. So MLKDAY will give you 20% off if you want to sign up. And they're having a test drive going on February 4th. So check that out. It's a special day, 2 days after my daughter's 2nd birthday. Excited to celebrate that with her. And the link, everything's going to be in the description below. So definitely check that out. And we'll go ahead and get into the list for the week. So we have JBHT. You know what? I'm going to see if I can actually make this a little bit better so you guys can, well, it's okay. So we'll go to the SPY right off the bat. So amazing couple of weeks we've had since the 26th of December. You know, back down here we had the 26th of December, and we just really rallied up from there. If you go back, I'm going to do another blog post coming up where I said, hey, when we go back, we pull it back on the weekly chart, right? We'll see if I can do this so you guys can see it. So we pull it back on the weekly chart and we look at the massive crash back in 2008. Let me see, I'll move it over here to make sure you guys can see this. So the crash in 2008 came from 153, went down to the 200-day moving average on the weekly chart, bounced up to the 50 moving average, and then boom, broke it again and broke it really hard, down to about 50% of the value from where we were. So we go back, and if history is going to repeat itself, right, we came up here from high highs down to the 200-day moving average, and now we're heading back up to that 50-period moving average on the weekly, right at 273. So when this happened, I said, hey, listen, we might be going up to 275. Well, now it's about 273. So we might see this come back. This is the 20 simple moving average right here at 270.96. And a Fibonacci level for retracement potentially is 269.42. So we shall see where we are going to be going from here. You know, I think that we might head up and then pull back down. We shall see what the markets have in store. Also what's going on with Trump, with all of his tweets and everything like that. And let's go ahead and get into the long list. As you guys know, I had my Series 7 before back in 2000. However, it is not current, so please do your due diligence. There's no guarantees in trading. You know, you have to always trade with proper risk management and do your own due diligence. So just give you that, guys, that disclaimer. So first on the long list, we have CRON. This is on the weekly chart, but you can see weekly, we are breaking out to new highs almost for the year. The high of the year was 1530. Closed at 1490. So I have 1520 and then 1530. We'll pull it back to a 15-minute chart. Back here on the 15-minute chart. Why is it doing that? There we go. So my support would be 1446 and 1520 for resistance. It does have 156 million in the float and 35% short float volume from Friday. I do use volumebot.com now for the short float volume, so check that out as well. It's free, love it. I love trying to give you guys free resources to check out, just like TradingView is free as well. You can upgrade and get the premium package, which I have and absolutely love. And I love that you can see the charts on mobile as well. Okay, so back to CRON. So CRON, we basically had an upward surge all throughout the day and ended up almost near the highs of the day. So it looks like that could continue an upward motion. And we had a nice run up from Monday. Let's see, the 15th, Tuesday. 15th was Tuesday. Second on long list, I got it right here, guys, here. Okay, so here we had a massive run up and then it came back down. What's really interesting is here only has 10.9 million in the float and it was 68.35% short float volume on Friday. However, if you look back at the stock, right, it came from 32, pulled all the way back down, seemed to have found a bottom right around here, pretty much support around 1345, and is surging up from here. We went up, we tested the 200-day moving average and pulled back, and what's interesting is it has such low float. So that's why I have this on the long list, because 68% short float volume, 10 million in the float, support of 1676, resistance of 1777, a dollar potential move there. But look, you can see once we really break out from here, 1846, this could definitely hit, this is 120 moving day average. It could hit the 120 day moving average and quickly potentially test 2178, 2250, and then if it breaks 2250, you know, it's going to run fairly quickly, fairly fast, if there's enough low float momentum buyers that get on the bandwagon back here. Look at this one. I mean, this day we went from a low of 1060, oh, you guys can't see it, right here, a low of 1060 to 1862. That's an 80% move in one day. So we could potentially see that with here just based on the low float capacity. Next on the long list, we have OZK. Same thing, this is a daily, right? And we're in a gap zone right now, which is why I like this as a potential long. However, it could be a potential short as well if it were to go to the bottom. So we've got the support of 3131 and resistance of 3240. When we look at it on a daily, it gapped up pre-market, right? It dropped a little bit and then it pretty much held all day. So it held the support of 3130 area. And I put 3240, which is above the high of the day of roughly 3215, we'd say, because 3220 right there, because it does have that potential to fill that gap, right? When we look at it on the daily, so it could go up to 3485, or it could easily drop back down to 2770. So definitely want to put on watch based on the fact that it could go either way. And this one is 120 million in the float and 46.61% short float volume. Next on the list, we have IO, which has 6.2 million in the float. These are old. Let's get rid of these lines. 6.2 million in the float and 56.15% short float volume to it. You can see testing a prior support, a prior resistance here, and could break out further. If it broke out from here on the daily, it looks like maybe up to 1150. So when we pull it back on the 15-minute chart, support from back here of 950. If it breaks that, it'll probably go down to the downside. If we do break to the upside, like I said, it will likely go to say 1150, maybe even 1250 up here. So keep that one on watch for longs as well. If you guys have any questions, you can put them up in the chat box too. Let's see if there's another chat going over here. No, okay. All right. And so CWH, you can see I had this on the potential longs before and it pulled back. Of course, it pulled back with what the market was doing. So on the longs for today, as far as we have it, it closed at the high. It looks like it's got nice cup and handle setup going to it. Looks like it could easily go to the bottom of this candle right here, which it's not working. It doesn't want to work with me here. Okay. Could easily go to the bottom of this candle right here of 1661. So it's got a nice 60-cent move. If it does break above that, I think $17 and then potentially up to $18. On the 15-minute chart, you can see pretty much went up all day, had nice movement to it. So support of 1560, resistance of 1612, has 31.5 million in the float and 48.54% short float volume. What do you guys think of the image behind me? I get to play around and put different images up, so I found this one. I like this one. On the short list, potentially, we have Delta Airlines, and I want to show you guys something else. So I've got Delta with it pulled back a little bit on Friday, and I'd say a support of 48.04, resistance of 48.34. When we look at it on the yearly chart, right, it's dropped down like the market did, and then it had a little bounce, and it looks like it could be coming back. The reasons why I do have it on the short list are, in general, oil is going up. When oil goes up, airlines tend to drop back down. And there's an awesome site, if you guys haven't heard me talk about it before, it's equityclock.com. And so here on Equity Clock, you can see, okay, well, it has a little pullback in the middle of January, so we're into the third week of January, so it might go up a little bit more and then tank pretty much down into May, just for the average of what happens with the stock over, you know, it's over, I have to look up the specific time period, but I know it's more than 10 years that they check out the seasonality for the stock. So it's not a complete science, but just an average of what's going to happen to it, that it tends to drop from the end of January down to the beginning of May. So that's cool. So that's why I have this one. It's also, you know, testing the 15 EMA, the 20 SMA, and it ended up low on the day. It's in that general downward trend to it. So that's why I have this one on the short list. Netflix came out as well with earnings on Friday. It did close the gap to the downside from when it gapped up, talking about raising rates for their subscribers, which was kind of a hint that it was probably going to be negative, because why would you announce that you're raising rates right before you're going to announce your earnings, when if it was amazing earnings, why would you be raising rates, right? So for support, I have 337.80 and resistance of 345. You can see it had a pretty big range on Friday. However, it never really went above this 120 moving average during the live trading day. You know, it's tend to hold right here. It gapped up just a little bit up here, right early pre-market, right back to the basically the support of Friday, and then pulled back down and was in a downward motion and ending downward on the day, even in after hours. So that one is on watch for sure. And potential goals for Netflix, I would say, you know, we've got it down here for the 200-day moving average, down a nice $5 move, so potentially like $3.34, $5 to the downside, $3.30. If it breaks that, it's got a nice gap back down to test down to $2.25. All right, next on the short list, and I'm sorry, I didn't give you, Delta Airlines has 618 million in the float, and Netflix has 429. Next, we have VF Corporation. So this is retail with, it's a clothing brand, and it does have that island again where it sort of whoop, gapped all the way up with information, and it's really a crazy candle. Lots of volume, went up, tested the 120, tested the 200-day moving average, and we've got all the other averages below. So I've got it on the short list based on the fact that it could gap back down, you know, easily down to 75, or it could go up further and test 86 potentially and then come back down. So another great one to watch on the 15-minute chart. Really, you can see it had support of 81.11, resistance of 82.95, and it does have 394 million in the float. Next one on the list is Team. So Team was amazing pre-market on Friday, and then it just dropped and tanked away. This one does have 107 million in the float, and I would say support of right down here at the bottom, 88.95 or 89, and resistance of 91.25. Just checking to see if anyone left a question. And when we pull it back on the daily, you can see it's coming down. It looks like all the averages are starting to curl down. We've got the 50 down here, the 120. So it could look like it's coming down. They did have earnings and could be in that downward motion, especially if the market in general is going to start to curl down. You know, it looks like we had this resistance right here of the 97 range. It opened above it and tanked immediately. So my thoughts are that it's going to continue potentially if the market takes it down below that support of 89. And this one does have 107 million in the float. Last for the short list is JBHT. So this one gapped up and closed down, and it's got that gap to fill down below with the earnings news. You know, it's looking like it's overbought. MACD does show it's curling up a little bit. CCI show that basically it's in the overbought area as well. So we'll look at it on the 15-minute chart, and we've got, you know, 105 as support and 107 as resistance. We could even move this back down here if you wanted to make it tighter, depending on what it does in the pre-market hours. But I would say, you know, really give it to that 107 spot, because that's where it was churning throughout the day, and the move is probably going to be a break of one way or the other with the momentum based on what the big guys are doing. And this one does have 86.5 million in the float. Thanks, Lil Lab. Next, I do have some longer term swings potentially to keep them on watch. So we have Nautilus. Nautilus has it tanked like crazy on Friday, and I've got it in the oversold area. It does have this major gap down, so this could snap back to reality. If we look at it, I don't always use the Bollinger Bands, but if you want to get a good scope of where, like, this could easily go back up to $9, or it could tank further. But typically when we see them like this right here, it gap down to 11, and then within 3 days it's back up at 1283. So this could potentially have a bounce move to it, where it's going to move back up, sort of back into reality, like the bell curve. When it's out to an extreme, it's going to come back to that middle ground. So this one might have an oversold potential swing to it, where it's going to run up. And then the next one as well is also SIG. Oh, I've got it over here. Make my life easier. So Signet Jewelers. So Signet, I'm going to pull it up next to one of the ones that they tend to trade in tandem, and that is Tiffany's. So Signet had this oversold, and then if we pull up Tiffany's, you can see Tiffany's was running up. It had this nice gap up on Friday, and Signet had a upward move as well, and we'll see that many times they do trade in tandem. You know, they both came down, and then Signet had a massive gap down and then a green day up, and Tiffany's had a green day up and another green day up. So we might see that this might come back up into the Bollinger Band area and potentially come back up and somewhat maybe even fill this gap up here to 29.50. So keep that one on watch, guys. As always, if you guys have any, thank you, Stealth C1. Rav G for TradingView to do the support and resistance. I just go over here to the left and I just select, you've got trend line. I just use horizontal line if that helps you. And then I do it based on the candlesticks. Preeti, I will try to give you guys a little bit more knowledge about that in the upcoming. Very cool. I'm glad you joined the trading room. It's an awesome free resource. I'll try to give you guys a little bit more explanation of that. I'm going to be doing a training video. My goal, my goodness, it was crazy. We had some other things come up with the business the end of December, but I'm trying to get those out the end of January. A whole series package really of like essential information and tools and knowledge for people. It's from zero knowledge in trading to having a handheld basis, like understanding the essential terminology, and then also the different tools that are out there, different brokers that are out there, different strategies that are out there, because it all comes down to finding something that will work well for you. All right, guys, go ahead, shoot me emails, shoot me comments down below. If you like my content, please like and subscribe, and if you ever have any questions, please go ahead and reach out. I'm always happy to help. Hope you have a great week ahead. Enjoy the day off. The market is closed tomorrow. And don't forget about the Trade Ideas discount code MLKDAY for 20% off through Monday night, and also the test drive. It'll all be in the details down below. Have a great week ahead. Carpe profit, guys.